All right, the injuries for today. Garoppolo won't practice, foot. Debo, ankle, knee, no practice. Kevin Givens, knee, no practice. Kinlaw, knee, no practice. Wisnowski is sick, no practice. Ambry, ankle, limited. Hyder, ankle, limited. Jordan Mason, hamstring, limited. McCaffrey, knee, limited. Eric Armstead, foot, ankle, limited. Brock Purdy's full. Go ahead.
Flare up with Javon.
No, that's the plan all along. We're going to have him go full tomorrow.
Do you expect Debo to practice tomorrow?
I think he has a chance to practice tomorrow. Depends how today's workout goes and stuff.
Well, the Raiders just announced that Jarrett Stidham will be their quarterback to face you guys. You're familiar with them from the Senior Bowl, so what can you expect?
I know he's a talented thrower. We've seen him play before, not just at the Senior Bowl, but I think we played him a couple of years ago. But he can make every throw, similar to Carr in that way. But he hasn't been out there a lot, so hopefully we'll confuse him, make it tough for him.
This move would suggest they're not totally invested in winning this game. You have to talk to the guys about not laying down because it appears like they're kind of laying down.
I don't know why they're doing it, but it doesn't matter to me. We knew there was a possibility just looking into it, when we started on Monday. But no, I don't worry about that with our guys. Our guys know one way to play and expect to see them that way.
Any recollections of Stidham from Mobile? And I know that you had 4 quarterbacks, I think, and I forget where he ranked in that group. But what do you remember from?
I remember we really liked how he threw. I liked him as a guy, just working with him. Never enjoy going to Mobile that time of year, so it's just not always a good feeling. It means you didn't do very well, and you really want to break and you don't get it. But I do remember enjoying him and knowing he was a talented player that we all believed was going to get drafted, and was not surprised that New England took him.
Yeah, we all know how disruptive Nick Bosa can be, but when you look at the way teams have to prepare for him with having to double him and when he goes on opposite sides, just how disruptive is he when you're trying to plan for what he does on everything?
Extremely disruptive because because it's every play. It's not just pass plays. It's not just third down. It's run plays. It's every situation. He's always got a chance to make a play, and he's gotten really good at moving around and not having. I think he's just as good of a rusher wherever he goes, which makes it really hard for offenses to set a plan when you don't know where he's going to be.
Givens coming along.
To have Brock Purdy do what he's doing in only 3 NFL starts, it's pretty much unprecedented.
Yeah, he's been great. It's been very similar to how he's been in practice. He's been pretty consistent since he's gotten here, and but you never know until guys get in these games, which they're a lot harder this time of year too than early on. And he's been the same way he's been in practice, and I think that's why right when he got in versus Miami, you could hear the players having confidence in him, and it's only gotten stronger because this is the only way they've seen him.
How's Kevin Givens come along? Would you expect him to be ready for the playoffs?
Yes, yeah, he's on schedule for that.
When you were in Houston, you had overlap with D'Amico as a player, and you were on the staff as coach. I don't know how much interaction you had, but what did you remember about him? And did you see things even then that, man, this guy one day could be a hell of a coach?
Oh, yeah, that's why I was most excited that when I got here, I remember Sala telling me that D'Amico was somewhat interested in doing the QC route and stuff, and I was so excited because of knowing him from Houston. He was our first pick in the set. We took Mario with the first pick in the draft, and we took D'Amico with the first pick in the second round. He ended up being Rookie of the Year that year. I think he was the first guy in a number of years to get a starting Pro Bowl at Mike linebacker because had been to Ray Lewis for so long. They called him Mufasa right away because he was like the wise lion. And he was just, we weren't a great team, and he came in and ran that defense from day one as a rookie, and that always stuck out to me huge. He was there the whole 4 years I was there. Then I got to play against him a lot when he was in Philly and I was in Washington, so we've always kept in touch that way. And I know he made some money as a player, so I never knew if we could get him out of Houston and have him come be here, quality control here in California. But he really was passionate about coaching and loved football. And once he decided to do that, and it was about halfway through the year that we realized he wasn't going to be a quality control very long.
You said he was somewhat interested when Sala told you. How'd you push him into completely?
I think he was very interested, but it's always when you have a wife and you have kids and you're living in a nice house and making a decent living, and I'm sure everything's stressful, but not quite to what you're about to get into. You got to make sure that the wife understands it, the kids, things like that. it's not like you're making a lot of money when you go to that position too, and you got to move children and all that. So it's a lot to. Joe Thomas said it earlier this year. The most like coaching's not just about having a passion for coaching. It's about are you willing to change your lifestyle, and because it's a lifestyle change. Like it's a little different, and you don't realize that until you totally get into it. And but it happens, and that's why you got to make sure the family's on board. And they were, and they've been supportive big time. And D'Amico has been good right away, and just keeps getting better.
The next phase for Jimmy Garoppolo now that the cast is off, and do you guys now have a better sense of when he could return to the field?
No, nothing's changed with that. I mean, he just got the hard cast off, so he's not able to move around and do stuff yet. So they're still in the training room processes, not out on the field or anything. So not much has changed.
So when it was mentioned, the record teams have the week after playing you guys, you were obviously well aware of that. Made a correction about the Chiefs.
It was right?
Yeah.
All right, I mean.
Totally on top of it. Where did someone bring that to your attention? Or
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. No. Schneider told me a couple months ago. So he keeps telling me every Monday he checks, and he said, yeah. So he pointed out to me how cool it was when it was like 0-6 or something. But then I started paying attention once he showed me. So it's been pretty cool.
Coach, with the division clinched and a playoff spot already clinched, when does the focus turn to just making sure everyone stays healthy for the playoffs rather than kind of maybe chasing that second seed? Next game.
I mean, we're trying to make sure everyone stays healthy for the playoffs now in terms of guys who aren't healthy, and then we feel it's a risk. I mean, we can be very smart with that. It's not worth risking that when you know you're in the playoffs. But the goal isn't just being healthy in the playoffs. We think we're a really good team, and we want to make sure that continues. And we also think there's room to get better. And if anything happens, we want to make sure we're better, not worse. It's really hard just to put people on hold in football and expect you'll be the same team. Or definitely expect you'll be better. So every week we're just trying to keep, whether it's practice field, whether it's the game, I mean, there are opportunities to get better, and that's how we look at it. It's great that there's an opportunity to get the 2 seed. We'll see what it is after this week. Hopefully we can win, but then we'll see what the situation is the next week. But we're not going to risk guys who we think are putting a lot of risk to how their bodies are at now, but I also think it's a big risk to have guys who have been going and playing football at a high level just to tell them don't play for 3 weeks and then make sure you play at that high level for 3.5 hours when everything's on the line. So we're just balancing that out, and we'll see how it continues.
Do you have people on your staff who do advanced scouting of teams you might face in the first round of the playoffs?
Our personnel department always goes a week before, so when we come in on Monday, they can tell us any of the different stuff that happened live, like injuries and things like that we might not be able to see on TV. But no one's out scouting playoff teams. It's not like the basketball, because things will change here in the 2 weeks, and who knows who we're going to play, and it'll be one game, and we'll have all week to get ready for it.
Along the lines of the question about getting the team ready for the postseason, how much do you discuss just, you can only suit up like 48 guys for a game, so it's not like you can rest.
Oh yeah, that's also what's comical about that question. Not to insult anybody at all, but it's like we still need 48 guys. So I mean, who are we going to rest? And then I got 53 guys to look at me and like, who you care about the most? Who are you resting? And it isn't that way. You got to play the game. We got to suit up our guys and hope to get through it as healthy as possible.
You referenced Nick and Christian as being sort of similar in approach in that almost everything they've done for a long time has been geared to be here. How rare is that? I mean, you've coached for a while. I mean, the guys that on that level have geared like their entire lives for what they're doing now.
It is rare, but I think you see that a lot in anyone at the top of their professions. I mean, go back to the 10,000 hour rule or whatever on how to master anything. You look at the top golfers, the top tennis players, like they're all people who didn't just start doing that in high school or anything. They're usually guys who have been obsessed with it from a young age. That's what makes people, to me, generationally different when you have talent with that work ethic and that environment, that passion to where it starts early. And I do notice that with Christian and Nick a lot. I think it helps the families they came from, and definitely so their families were aware of it, and they definitely, I think, noticed they had the talent probably when they were in the crib doing certain things that would be weirder than all of us doing.
You mentioned, I think, after Purdy was drafted, that Greasy and Kubiak kind of had the project to look at late round quarterbacks. Was there like not going to draft a quarterback probably until the 5th round, start looking. I mean, I guess what were the parameters for doing that?
That's what we do every year, and depending on how much we're going to take one is how much we all dive into it. But I didn't believe we were going to take a quarterback. We would have loved to, but you'd always love to. You'd love to take one every year. But we just didn't think we'd be able to where our roster was at and what we were trying to fill in the draft. So, I mean, I'll spend most of my time on the areas I think we're going. And then you give them all the quarterbacks, and that's what we do every year. And sometimes I'm doing it with them. Sometimes I do it later. But you don't say just the late round guys, you say every guy. And then you say rank them. And when we rank them, it's also where you think they're going to go. So you start to look at things like, well, yeah, I think this guy's a 2nd round guy. I think this guy's a 4th round guy. I think this guy's a 7th round guy based off talent, based off upsize, based off where I think the league has him valued. But this 5th round guy is my top guy. Does that mean you're saying take him in the top 10? No. But it just means you don't like every quarterback. And there's usually 8 or whatever, and you like 2 of them. It goes that way similar with running backs. There's 30 of them, you like 4 of them. So it's what it's. Doesn't mean there's any right or wrong, but it's just how you see it, and you give it to those guys. They see it a little bit differently, but they stack it. Our scouts do the same thing, and they stack it. And then when that day comes, we watch all of it. They make tapes on them to kind of sell their highlights, the best things they could do. Then they show some clips on the worst things that they do, and then that usually intrigues anybody, but then it intrigues me what I see there, and then I base off of what I go study off of that. So, yeah, we're probably not going to take a quarterback, so I'm not going to spend 2 months studying every single person. But now these guys whose job is to do that, they've spent the last 2 months studying everyone. They put all this time into it, or scouts have put all this time into it. I put a day in listening to all of them, watching it. All right, I want to go back, even though we're probably not going to take one, I want to go back and watch more tape on these 3 guys. And that's kind of how a year like that works.
With Nick and the level he's playing at now, do you think that there's an even higher ceiling for him to get even better?
Yes, definitely. I mean, he's still young. He's not perfect. He's got 4 personal fouls this year. Told him that's why his Madden awareness rating is a 99, not 100. So, yeah, he could get better right there. But, I mean, he's playing the top of his game. I mean, I feel like we could sit him these next 2 weeks, and my mind would be blown if he wasn't the defensive MVP. So he's been great. It's been his goal probably since he could remember making goals. And I know that was a big thing to him this year, how excited he was coming into camp healthy for one of the first times, and him just saying how much more he wanted to do because he was healthy, and he's so smart about that stuff. But he was able to get in more practice, build a little bit more of a stamina for the whole year, and it showed up on the field because I think he's a lot better now than he was 2 months ago, and he's better then than he was at the beginning of the year. So.
What's the benefit of having him be able to move from left to right side? How does that help you guys?
Just that you can't set up a plan all the time. I mean, if you know where a guy is all the time, you can dictate where the center goes. You can dictate where people go to chip. You can dictate a lot of things. It's still not easy. It's still real tough. But at least you have an idea where he's going to be. And it's nice when sometimes you see the huddle break, and I know you can see Nick just standing in the middle right next to the center. And then he moves to his side, and you can see them chip the heck out of one D end, and this D end not get anything, and it's really hard to just switch that stuff at the end. So just little things like that, and it's nice that he can go over the center too sometimes.
Quarterback position aside, the Raiders do have Josh Jacobs and Devontae Adams and Max Crosby, and they've taken the lead in a number of games and just haven't finished them. So when you're looking at them, what do you see?
I see some great players who can beat you. That's why I think they've had a chance in so many games this year, and they have been close. I mean, they're just a few, the ball bouncing the different way to being locked in as a playoff team right now. So I know they're sitting down their quarterback, who I think is a real good player, but they also got 3 big-time weapons there in offense. Their defensive end, and Crosby is playing as probably the second best defensive player in the league, at least that I've seen this year. I think he's been unbelievable. So they got some guys who can wreck games, and you better be on your stuff regardless.
Here's the last one.
Coach, why do you think the Purdy-Kittle combination's been so electric this year as far as the last 3-4 games?
I think, Brock's made a few good plays, letting it rip, and Kittle's gotten some good looks where he's been open, and also he got one more big one, intercepting from Ray. So that definitely helped. But I also think Kittle, just like I was saying with Bosa, Kittle's at the best he's been all year too here in these last 3 weeks, and he didn't get much at training camp. Beginning of the year, he had to disappear for a little bit with some injuries. When he did come back, he was easing his way in. He wasn't great, and I feel like he's gotten about a month in here without any setbacks. And when Kittle does that, he gets right back to what he's always been, and that's as good as anyone in this league at his position.
Can I ask one more? On that Kittle play, is that something you get angry about, that he?
I do until the ref puts his hands up. I'm like, what does he do? Oh, all right. And I move on, and I'm celebrating. Ray might have taken longer to get over it, but I could care less once it works. But it better work.
Have you ever seen that clip of Steve Kerr where Steph takes a shot and he goes like this, and then he sees it goes in?
No, but I can picture like I've seen it, because it's my life story with a lot of things with these guys. All right, guys. Thanks.